Hi, I'm Dr. David Dobson. Welcome to Conversations. Today, my guest is Isaac Kofi Bekoe. Isaac is an MA student in the Department of Economics at the University of Waterloo. He holds an MPhil in Finance from University of Ghana. His research centers around environmental sustainability, finance, and agriculture, with a focus on applying advanced economic metrics methods to developing policies. Isaac has co-authored a chapter titled How to Maximize the Domestic Development Orientation of Foreign Direct Investment in the Palgrave Handbook of Development Finance. We will be discussing this chapter today. It's a pleasure to have you on my show, Isaac.
Thank you, Dr. Dobson.
Isaac, could you tell me a bit about what first drew you to study economics and finance?
Okay, I think that's a great question. My goal in the beginning wasn't much more like I wasn't much more concerned about reading economics earlier in my academic career. I wanted to read something around law, but after being introduced to economics in my secondary school days, I realized I had passion for the concept of demand and supply. So basically, that fueled my decision to take an BA in economics in my undergraduate study. After that undergraduate study, I think I was a teaching assistant after that study at the University of Development Studies. And during that period, a professor by name Aruna Isaku gave me a paper to review. And the paper was on SMEs and the major challenges they face in Sub-Saharan Africa. Reading through the paper, I came to understand that the major SMEs is one of the major drives of employment in development, developing countries and most countries in Africa. They drive growth, job creation, employment, but their major challenge was access to finance. It was their core challenge for almost all small and medium enterprises in sub-Saharan Africa. I think that was the first time I was introduced to that concept of access to finance as a fuel of SMEs development in Africa. I was much more curious about that and curious about how financial systems could be better structured to serve people and these SMEs in the African region. And from the BA in economics, I made a decision to embark on MPhil in finance at the University of Ghana. So basically, that was the drive for my love for finance, access, and usage of financial services. My passion now is rooted in understanding how capital flows from, like, for example, FDI, how they can help countries and how they can help mainly developing countries to grow inclusively.
Very nice story. Thank you for sharing, Isaac. Isaac, you co-authored a book chapter on development finance titled How to Maximize the Domestic Development Orientation of Foreign Direct Investment.
Yeah.
Before we discuss your chapter, could you please explain what development finance is and why it is especially important in developing countries?
Thanks again, Dr. Dobson. Development finance is an area I keep loving it anytime I'm exposed to it. Is development finance basically refers to financing uh, long-term sustainable economic growth, especially in low-income countries. It includes concessional loans, like providing concessional loans, FDI, and grants to developing countries. In developing countries, where public revenue is usually limited, development finance is critical for building infrastructure, education, and healthcare system. So development finance exposes us to how you finance infrastructures and all these areas in developing countries. Again, the development finance plays a key role in enabling developing countries to bridge the gap, the financing gap for sustainable growth, job creation, and poverty reduction.
Your chapter discusses the role of foreign direct investment in the economic growth of developing countries.
Yeah.
Can you explain the impact of foreign direct investment on countries' economic growth?
Yeah. So I made mention of development finance creating the atmosphere for loans, concessional loans to be provided for developing countries. FDI is foreign direct investment, and it's one of the major pillars of development finance. So I would comment on the determinant of FDI. I'll comment on the trend and I'll offer insight into some major importance of FDI to developing countries. First,
Please.
FDI, which is foreign direct investment, bring not just capital. Most people think it's just about money, it's just about funds, it's just about loans. But FDI doesn't only bring capitals to developing countries, it brings technology. So when, for example, when FM moved from Canada to establish any of his branches in any of the African countries or any development country, Pakistan, India, they just don't send money, they send technology. So FDI brings technology, it brings skills. And skills is one valuable asset we need in almost every developing country for economic growth to be driven. So it brings technology, skill, market access. It also gives these developing countries access to foreign market by a way of maybe as in new firms moving from developed country to this new developing country. The developing country are able to get access to the market of the developed country. And again, FDI also provide research and development. So FDI, what I would want to emphasize on is that FDI is not only about providing capital funds to developing countries, but skills, research and development, and technology. Again, FDI supports local firms by raising productivity through spillover effects. It also, another important aspect of FDI is that it tends to be more stable than other portfolio flows. Like foreign aid, FDI is much more stable. The literature revealed that, especially during the economic shocks. So in the time of COVID-19, where there's pandemic everywhere, FDI in most African countries actually increased. Globally, FDI even increased. In 2020, for example, in 2015, global FDI inflows was peaked at over 1.5 trillion 2015. And in 2021, it surged again to 1.6 trillion despite COVID-19. So in times of economic uncertainty, in times of period like pandemic and epidemics, FDI still increases. Money, funds, skills are still sent to developing countries. I think that is why we have to pay much more attention to foreign direct investment. And African share of GDP, global GDP, is still under 5%. So in Africa, I think there's a lot of work that must be done. And going forward, we come to understand what are some of the policies policymakers and government institutions can put in place to attract more FDI. Now, let me briefly comment on some few determinants of FDI. One is market size.
Okay.
Because firms moving from developed country to developing country would first look at the market size of the economy. Would their businesses be able to thrive in such economy? So one key determinant of foreign direct development is market size. Second is macroeconomic stability. As an investor, if the economy of a country is not that stable, you will not wish to establish businesses in that economy. So one key determinant is when the macroeconomic of a developing country is that stable, it attracts foreign direct investment. Another key factor I would want to talk about is infrastructure. Infrastructure is also one key deal, because if they are coming down, if the developed world would want to invest in the developing country, one thing they look out for is infrastructure. Are the resources there? Are the burdens there? They can take advantage of, they can use to expand their businesses. Then one last thing is institutional quality. How quality is the institution in those countries? Are there regulatory measures? Are there structures in place to give them at times tax breaks to help them regulate their businesses properly? So these are few determinants I commented in the chapter. However, to really benefit from FDI inflow, as I said earlier, countries must design the right environment. There should be that right frame of environment that can attract these investors into the country. And these determinants are basically things that drive investors from developed world into developing country to invest.
Yeah, very interesting. Just to continue on this conversation, to maximize the domestic development orientation of foreign direct investment, what types of policy should countries focus on?
That's very sensitive questions, because these are areas almost every developing country must focus on. Policies they must put in place to attract FDI. And as I said, it's not only about capital, research and development, skills,
Yeah.
What policies can we put in place to attract businesses move from,
Yeah.
for example, if
Yeah.
Toyota is in Canada, what policies must we put in place
Yeah.
to attract Toyota
Yeah.
establishing new business in Pakistan,
Yeah.
India, or any developing country? One
Mm,
key thing, as I said, in the determinant is macroeconomic stability.
mm,
If the economy is not that stable,
mm,
inflation keep rising,
mm,
exchange rate is unpredictable,
mm.
interest rate is extremely high, investors will desist from
Yeah.
investing in developing countries. So,
Yeah.
in a bid to attract foreign investors, in a bid to attract FDI, investors must ensure, government must ensure
Mm,
that the macroeconomic environment in developing countries are stable. Example,
mm,
countries with stable macroeconomics
mm,
indicate that they usually attract long-term investment from
mm,
foreign world.
mm,
Another thing is medium-term fiscal discipline.
mm, mm,
A country, government shouldn't overspend. So,
mm,
for example, excessive debt with this will not attract you. You must be moderate in your spending as a government.
mm,
Excessive debt doesn't help. Maintain credible tax system. Your
mm,
tax system should be efficient. It should work. Ensure
mm,
efficient public spending. As I said, you
mm,
don't spend too much.
mm,
So for us to have that policies, that right frame of environment to attract investment,
mm,
we must be very conscious about our spending as
mm,
government or as developing country. Another
mm,
thing is our domestic financial system strengthening. How does the financial system work? Is the financial system more inclusive? Is the capital markets working effectively? Are your stock
mm.
market developed? Is the banking system working? Because
Yeah.
these firms, when they come, these are the mediums they will use to actually build their business, to establish their businesses. So the financial system must be. So these are measures developing countries must put in place to attract foreign direct investment. Another thing I would want to talk about is screen and maybe regulate FDI. FDI must be regulated. Yeah. If FDI is not regulated, it can be channeled into the wrong areas, which may not benefit the developing world. So we must ensure that FDI aligns with development priorities like
Mm,
agriculture, renewable
mm,
energy resources, sustainable development. You don't
mm,
attract FDI investing in mining unsustainably. It doesn't help the development of the developing country. So yes, these are a few things I think we highlighted
mm.
and in the chapter.
Yeah. Very interesting. Lots of policy to focus on. I guess perhaps
Yeah,
one of the challenge for any government or the country would be is to really what is the priority, you know?
yeah, yes.
Yeah.
So actually, this, as I said, these are things developing countries must focus on to attract
Yeah.
foreign. Especially,
Yeah.
it has been real. Foreign firms focus much more on sustainable practices.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if our system is not
Mm,
that
mm,
defined
mm.
to invest in
Yeah.
sustainable ventures,
Yeah.
they will desist from coming down
Yeah.
to invest, pushing in their skills, pushing
Yeah.
in their technology.
Yeah.
But we need them
Yeah.
to survive. We need them to develop, and for
Yeah.
them to come down,
Yeah.
the right frame of
Yeah.
environment must be created for them.
Yeah. Yeah. Isaac, while foreign direct investments offers numerous potential benefits, you mentioned some of them. What are its potential drawbacks, perhaps such as environmental issues and political instability?
Yeah, that's great. From that sense, in life, we don't only have to focus on the positives. I was talking a lot about the positives of foreign direct investment, how they can drive growth. At
Yeah,
times, the negatives are also important. It
yeah.
also helps shape policy. One
Mm,
key thing I think I even
mm,
emphasized on the later
mm,
discussion was about environmental concerns,
mm,
especially in extractive
mm,
sectors, oil and
mm,
gas, gold. If care is not taken,
mm,
all this FDI will be channeled into those
mm,
areas. And these
mm,
areas mostly are not that sustainable.
mm,
So there are environmental concern when it comes to, because those are where the money is actually. Money
mm,
is in debt. Gold, especially in Africa, gold is a big time multi-million business.
mm,
And without mining sustainable, I think it's one concern of FDI that, yeah. So environmental concern is one key area. Social issues, poorly
mm,
managed FDI can
mm,
increase inequality
mm,
if it is not used for the intended purpose, if it's not channeled
mm,
to the right areas, it can
mm,
widen the gap between the poor and the rich, which
mm,
is something we've been fighting over for too long a time. UN
mm,
goals, sustainable development goals, the goal is always to lessen poverty.
mm,
Poverty and inequality, if care is not taken, the
mm,
funds might be channeled into the wrong areas, which
mm,
can widen income inequality in
Yeah.
all these countries.
Yeah.
Another thing is profit repatriations. Imagine that the firms moves from the developed world to establish in a development country,
Mm,
and they don't use their profit to
mm,
invest back into these countries. It will
mm,
not benefit the countries. So they get the profit, they take all the profit back. So if they move from Canada to Ghana,
mm.
make huge profit, then takes all the profit back to Canada. It will not help Ghana. Yeah, so I think businesses and
Yeah.
firms from the developed world must also learn to
Yeah.
reinvest their profits in the
Yeah.
developing economy. Another thing
Yeah.
is policy capture.
Yeah.
Powerful multinational
Mm,
corporation might influence government policies in their
mm,
favor. So
mm,
because they are powerful, because at times they do the government a favor,
mm, mm,
they may try to influence the policies
mm,
of the government to favor
mm.
them.
Yeah.
Ahead of firms coming to Ghana, usually receive some grace period, tax-free
Mm,
holidays. After that days elapse, they
mm,
intend to go back to their country. So meaning
mm.
they don't even want to pay tax at all.
Yeah.
So because of how powerful some of these businesses are, they may try to influence government policies. So FDI
Mm,
is as I said earlier, FDI is not automatically good or bad.
yeah.
Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
automatically good or bad.
Mm,
Its net effect
mm,
depends on the policy framework,
yeah.
the institutional quality,
Yeah.
and how benefits are distributed.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the goal is much more should be on the net effect than only the
Mm,
important or the negatives.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah. Isaac, your chapter provides valuable insights for sure. What do you hope the readers take away from your chapters in this book?
That's great. I think a lot has been said. I've made mention of quite a lot of things. Few things I'll talk about. First, FDI should be strategic.
Mm,
For developing countries must
mm,
be intentional about creating
mm,
that atmosphere to attract
mm,
FDI. So it's one
mm,
key thing I would want readers to take from the chapter. It should be strategic, not passive. Countries must steer toward attracting FDI for their national goals and development. The chapter again provides a comprehensive roadmap from macro policies to skills development and tech transfer. As I said earlier, FDI is not only about capital.
mm,
So a roadmap is created for skill development, policy, tech transfer, and research and development. The chapter also one offers guidance to policymakers. Policymakers must ensure that the right regulations are in place, create that atmosphere, create that environment that will attract foreign investors into the country. To
mm,
investors, what are they taking from the chapter? So investments again must understand that they must understand the host country expectations. You don't come in try to influence government policy in your favor.
mm,
Understand their sustainable practices.
mm,
Understand their investment goals.
mm,
Understand their drive to economic growth. I think that will help align the
mm,
investors' expectation and that of the host country expectation. Then last, to researchers, to Dr. Dobson and myself, to researchers on how the chapter throw much more light on how theory
yeah,
meet policy in real
yeah,
world
yeah,
investment. So
yeah,
theory is one thing, policy is another thing. If
yeah,
theory doesn't align with policy, it brings chaos. So the chapter throw more light on how theory and policy work together in real world situation. So FDI, as I said, like can be a powerful tool for transformation. When countries, policymakers, investors, and decision makers designs policies to make it work for them.
mm,
Thank you.
yeah, yeah. Very good, Isaac. What's next for you?
Interesting question. I think we started discussing this even before the interview. So this chapter is basically a step ahead. And I think I've been doing quite a number of research for the past years. My first paper was actually on financial inclusion and bank
Mm,
stability on
mm,
agriculture productivity. Aside the FDI, I also love agric. So the next thing,
mm,
I'm an MA student at the University of Waterloo. The
mm,
goal is to jump into a PhD program early next
mm,
year. So the goal is to get I love research, so I would want to commit the rest of my life to researching. Yeah. So
mm,
the next goal is to just jump into a PhD program and
mm,
continue the good work we are doing.
mm. Both sounds like a good plan, Isaac. Um, Isaac, I want to ask you, what's the most valuable lessons you have learned from your academic and professional journey that you would share with others?
Interesting. I'll focus on one. I have a lot to share, but I'll focus on one. For example, if I were able to offer one piece of advice based on my experience, it would be that never underestimate the value of showing up prepared and staying curious, whether it is research, academic, professional, work, being prepared open doors. So when preparation meets opportunity, doors are open for you. And genuine curiosity also keeps doors open. It is what helped me to navigate my MA program. New environment, new people, new lectures. But curiosity, asking questions, and showing up on time, putting in much effort will make you succeed in any field you find yourself.
Thank you for your time, Isaac, and best wishes in completing your degree and your future endeavors.
Thank you, Dr. Dawson.